Hello, my name is Margaret Anderson, and today I will be doing a review of the Geometry Sketchpad software, or otherwise known as GSP. This software is used for teaching topics in algebra, geometry, and data analysis. So first I'm going to demonstrate the different basic functions of the software. So first what I'm going to do is, as you can see here, this is the toolbox and its many features. So obviously the first feature is the arrow, and it can move around a general cursor. So next thing, I'm going to place points. So I can place points anywhere throughout the screen, and as you see when I click one, they are highlighted. So next we have a circle feature. So the circle, you click and then you drag whatever size you would like the circle to be. When you are happy with it, you click again, and that will finalize the circle. So now you can also move, once you've created the circle, you can change it by that way, or you can change it that way. Or if you just grab the circle, it will move the circle around the page. So next we have the line feature. So when you first click on the line feature, it's going to create a line segment, but it can also create rays, and it can also create lines that are created with 2 points. So next we have the shape function. So when you are first clicking on the shape function, you have the option to make it as many as a shaped figure as you would like. As long as you keep clicking, it will keep moving. So when you want to finish it, you click back on your original point. So the first shape it's going to create is a shape that has vertices, but no line segments for borders, and then it has a shaded interior that you can click on. So you can also create a shape that has vertices and line segments, as well as a highlighted interior. And then the third shape that it can do is something with just line segments and vertices and not a shaded interior. So next we have a text box. So this text box can be open anywhere on the page, and you drag to determine how large you would like the text box to be. So when you pull up this text box, you have options to change the font, you can change the font size, you can change the color of the font and whatever you would like it to be, boldness, italics, underlining, and then if you click here, it's going to drop down another menu. So here we have a lot of notation. So you could do if I was to type in AB, actually, if I was to click on it first and then type AB, it's going to give you the notation for a line segment. And then if you wanted to stop, you unclick it, and then you can keep going. So it also has ray, a line, an arc, fractions, and all of these other wonderful mathematical notations. It also gives you these options for different math symbols. So now I'm going to exit out of that. I'm going to clean all of this up a little bit. So I'm going to drag and highlight as much as I can, and then hit the delete button, and it will wipe out whatever I have created. So we also have this marker feature. This marker feature can draw anywhere on the page, but it also can, let me make some line segments here. It can also mark angles. So it can mark that would be a standard angle, and if I was to close off this triangle and I wanted to show that all these sides had different values, I can also click to add multiple of the rings to show that the angles are all different. So next we have an information box. So what this will do is, if I run it over anything, you can see a small question mark pop up, and that question mark you can click, and then it will tell you what was used to make either the line or the angle or whatever it is. So if I click on that, it's saying it's independent versus it being dependent on something else. Or this segment connects point 30 and point 31. So it just gives you a little information about what it is you're doing. So the next feature is a tool function. This is a very unique feature. It allows you to program different tools, whatever you would like, and it'll save said tools. So for me, I already have some created. So I have, let's see, I have an if-then tool. Let me go back and do that again. So I have logic tools, and I can do an if-then arrow or an if and only if arrow. So an if-then arrow, all I have to do is click and drag, and this is a tool that I had previously created, and it's to show whenever you're trying to prove something, if it's an if-then statement, or you could use the if and only if, which has arrows going in both directions. So now that we've explored what the toolbox features can do, we're going to look at the other features. So we can start, actually, first I'm going to go ahead and clear out all of this. Now, I'm going to start with the file. So here you can create new sketches, so it'll open a completely blank tab. You can open previous sketches. There is links to the online helps, saves, all of the normal file things. What's unique about this one is you can click on document options, and it gives you the option to add pages to your already created document, or you can duplicate pages from within the document as well as other documents that are open that are GSP documents. You can also use this to name the page. So next we have the edit. So this edit feature has the general edit features, the undo, copy and paste, all of those, but it's also unique because it has action buttons that allow you to create different demonstrations, which I can show you later, but if you can see, I know it's shaded in currently, but there's hide, show, animation, movement, presentation, and sound. And then you could also show like parent functions and children functions. So next we have display. So I'm going to create some objects first. So we have, I will just draw a standard line segment. From here, I can change the line style. So I can change how thick I want it to be. So if I want it to be a thick line, or I could do a dashed line if you were doing graphs. You can also change the point style. So you can go in here and you can make the dot larger. You can make it really small, like just a regular dot. You could do any of these. I like my dots to be medium sized. So you also have options with the color of your lines. My software, for whatever reason, does not like to show me the actual colors. Normally they would all pop up right here. But if you click into other, at least if I click into other, I can see my whole color wheel. So I can change the color depending on what's going on. And so I can click all throughout here and then drag whatever colors I would like in the box. So say I wanted purple, and I would hit OK, and it would change my dot to purple instead of red, which is what I have it on for the basic. So in here as well, you have a show all hidden option, which is going to show anything that I haven't deleted, but I've just hit Control Hide. You can also trace points and animate, which will just, I will go ahead and show you what animate does. When you hit animate, it will just move the segment in whatever randomized way at whatever speed is set down here. So it's not anything that you're really controlling, it's just animating a function to see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and click out of that. Let's see, we also have just options down here, so like it'll show the text palette, or you can hide it, and showing the toolbox as well. So next we can do the construct. So constructing gives you a lot of options. So whatever you have highlighted, it'll give you the options for that particular object. So I have a line segment, so I can put a point on the segment, and that will make it so that the point is only on the segment and can't be dragged off of it. I could also construct a parallel line construct a parallel line, and then say I have a point out in space. I can select the point and select the line, and I can create a parallel line, or I could create another point and select the line and construct a perpendicular line. And if you took the angle measures of these, hold on, I have to create a point for it to recognize it. You'll see there that that is a 90-degree box, and you could take the measure of this angle, which we will get to shortly. But as you can see, it is perpendicular line as it has a 90-degree angle. So I'm going to go ahead and wipe this out again. So in the construct box, you can see that you have lots of options, though they are grayed out. Midpoint intersections of two lines, segments, raised lines, parallel lines, perpendicular lines. You could do angle bisectors. You can also create different circles, create arcs on circles, and create the interior of any shape. So next we're going to talk a little bit about the transformation. This allows you to mark anything, and it also allows you to do general transformations. So translations, rotations, dilations, and reflections. You can also create custom any of those. So say I had a line segment, I'm going to change this back to a regular solid line so I can remain sane. I'm going to also make it a little less thick. So now I have this line. If I double click it, you can see those squares pop up, and that's marking it as my mirror or my line of reflection. So from here, I could create a point, and then with it selected, I can say reflect, and it will reflect it across the line that I created. So you can see as I move the line of reflection, the point will move with it. And similarly, if I move this point, it will move as a reflected image. And that's just one of the transformations that you could do if you wanted to. So now in measure, we have all of these different things we can measure. We can measure standard length. You could measure the slope of this line as well, which I have to unclick that. Sometimes GSP is a little fidgety. If you have more than one thing selected and you go to try to measure something like I just did, so these two were both clicked and I clicked measure and it wouldn't allow me to do anything, so then I just click out of it and re-click, and then it'll give me options so I can find the slope. And when I do that, it will actually pull up a nice coordinate graph for me. So now display, I'm going to not have the square grid on in just a moment. So from here, you could also measure anything from, we showed angle, we could do the measure of a radius to find the radius of a circle, and there would be your radius. So as you can see in here, you can do circumference, arc angle, any of these different things. So in the next one, we have number. You can create parameters, calculate, add new functions, any of the general things, and the graph function. So this basically gives you options for the different kinds of grid. You could do polar grids, you can do standard grids. Of course, you can hide it. So if you do, I'm going to go back to a square grid. And you could do dotted grid. So this will, when you're plotting a point and you move it, it will be wherever you want it to be in here. But then if you turned on snap points and you went to move it, it would only allow you to move it on a on the dotted grid itself. You can plot any points on different axes, all of that. The window is just standard. It's showing you which page in the GSPs you are on if you were to have multiple different pages open. The help is you can search anything, so you could go to their learning center. Some of these things will take you to their website for different helps and tutorials and things like that. So now that we have gone through and done a little bit of playing with the technology, I'm going to go in showing a little bit of what the usefulness can be when you're teaching. So I'm going to create a shape. I'm going to create a triangle specifically. Now, if I wanted to show the measure of this, I would simply go up here and I would find the length. And one thing I want to show is how you can animate something or create a movement, anything like that. So right now, I'm going to click on these. I'm going to go into Edit and Action buttons, and then I'm going to click Movement. When this pops up, it's going to say following moving destination. So right now, I'm going to click this, and it's going to move this out of the way. I can move this to anywhere I would like. So when I click this point D is going to move to the point that I selected. And if I want it to move back, I create a new point and repeat the same process. Actually, I'm going to unclick. Now I'm going to re-click, go into Edit, Action Buttons, Movement, and go back. And, oh, interesting. Okay, so it actually, what it just did was moved a point that I had created, not the actual segment that I wanted to move. So now I'm going to delete that one and move one of my points and move these back. So now I'm going to click that and try this again. And now it should move back to that point. So from here, if I would like to make this into an animation that flows by itself, I can click and highlight both of these points, go into Action Buttons and Presentation. So there's different options. I'm going to pick sequentially, and it asks you for how much pause you would like in between actions. I'm going to say 2 seconds. So now when I click this button, it's going to move from one point. It's going to pause, and then it will move to the next point. So that's how you could do a really basic demo or demonstration. And I actually have already gone ahead and created a demonstration. So I created this demonstration using pretty much what I just showed you. I just did it a couple of different times. So this is the triangle inequality theorem, stating that the sum of the lengths of any two sides of a triangle is greater than the length of the third side. So for this demo, I went ahead and took the measures of all the different sides and then put an inequality sign to show that as you move the triangle, two sides will always be greater than the third side. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Demo, and as you can see, the numbers on the left as well as the numbers on the right are all moving as the demo moves. So you could show students, okay, as this is moving, what do you notice about the numbers, anything like that, and use this to really deepen their understanding and give them a visual understanding of the math as well as a numerical one. This is just one way that you could use a dynamic sketch to show students how all this works. You could do this with many more theorems, anything like that. So I just showed you one quick option. So Geometry Sketchpad is definitely a very versatile software, and there are nearly endless options when it comes to using it.